what's the impetus for this this terror cell inside Bajoran terror cell, this circle?
Is that for Kat or Ira?
No, that's for Ira. I mean,
I was going to say, I'm like, well, let me tell you all about that since I totally ran the show, right?
Yeah. I just want to know
favorite flavor of liqueur.
Yeah. Are they? Is it something that I don't know? What inspired you to come up with that?
Well, I'm not quite. I mean, it was established that there had been either freedom fighters or terrorists, going up against the Cardassians. Obviously, Kira was a freedom fighter / terrorist. This is all before 9/11, when those designations seem to be less fraught than they are now. So that was just playing off of that, and just to say that once that begins, once you have to go to a place of extreme action and extreme thought, even when the situation that caused that has gone away, the Cardassians are gone, that kind of extreme thought just doesn't shut off, doesn't go away. That lifestyle is not easy to turn off. Look at Kira. I mean, she was the angriest woman in the galaxy for a long time. Season 1, stay out of her path. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, it just was taking what we had already established and continuing on with it.
No, I think it's interesting because nowadays you see these kinds of fringe extremist groups that are organized and have their logos and kind of do this kind of ways in which they protest that are kind of a little bit more across the line than just voicing their opinion. So it just seems to me that a lot of the topics that you discussed on DS9 ended up becoming part of the everyday headlines of what we see afterwards, which is like prophetic.
Only because when you kill 3,000 Americans, it becomes headlines. People were being killed, on this planet in all kind of ways that we conveniently don't make a big deal about because it's not happening here. Mm-hmm. But once that happens, suddenly terrorism has meaning. Well, terrorism has had meaning, for many, many, many years. And did Pete write that episode? Did he do the siege? Did he write number 2 and Mike wrote number 3 of that trilogy?
I think so. I think it was, yeah.
I should say also, which I didn't say before, besides losing Aaron, we lost Pete Fields this year, which was a big loss.
We did do a tribute to him a couple months ago, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really hard. I stayed friends with Pete and watched his health go over the years, and was not easy to watch. But he was a talented guy, I mean, and gave the show, he gave us Garrick. If it wasn't for him, we'd never have plain simple Garrick, not the way he was played by Andy. So, it's been a tough year for Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peter did a lot of the episodes. I think
quite a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
We looked him up because when we did one of his episodes, we looked him up and we just saw just how many he had done, and then we saw that he had passed away just recently. Quite a few really good episodes. Did you have a favorite Peter Allen Fields episode, Ira?
Well, my favorite Peter Allen Fields episode, I don't know if he would say it was his favorite episode, but my favorite was Duet. And the reason it was my favorite is for a very specific reason, which was it was at the end of the season, and Michael was going to do cleanup on In the Hands of the Prophet, which Robert Wolfe had written, and I was given Duet to do the same. So I went in with Pete to do the final pass on that script, and I was a lot of the stuff that the Harris Yulin character was saying when he was talking about blood on the hands, but we were clean. A lot of that I was riffing, standing around, acting in Pete's room while he was by the computer, and I was like literally like gesturing and just like stream of consciousness, and he's writing it all down, and we were laughing so hard through some of it because I suck as an actor for one thing, and I was just saying so many like obscene. I was saying a lot of things that obviously did not get put in the show, but we were tired. It was the end of the first season or close to the end, and we were just batshit crazy at that point, and it was just a lot of laughs. And Pete and I had a lot of laughs that first season. So that was my favorite. That was my favorite by far. But and also, I love the fact that he did come up with things. Pete came up with Latinum. That was his thing. He came up with the self-sealing stem bolts, which was, he came up with Eric.
What a trailblazer!
He had a lot of good, and that was another great moment because Pete next to Avery. Pete was the most interesting guy on the 7 years.
Hey, what about Dabo? Who came up with the idea for Dabo?
Wow,
good question.
Dabo, that's a good.
Do we know?
And it's funny because now I have a friend whose nickname is Dabo, having nothing to do with the show. It wasn't me. That's all I can say. It wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't. I didn't come up with Dabo.
I like the Dabo girls. Just to throw that out there.
Why?
Your favorite flavor of Dabo girl?
You know what? Right? They made great dates for young Jake.
That's right. That's right.
Happens in Quark's bar, stays in Quark's bar.
Heather, do you have a who came up with question for Ira?
Man, you gotta give me more time. I need these questions in advance next time.
Then it wouldn't be a free for all. It would be a hangout, I guess.
Well, in all fairness, we started the free for all with questions about some beverage that I still have no idea.
That was an alcoholic question.
Well, I like the Latinum idea because Latinum. I mean, it seems like it was always there. It just.
Well, when I said to Pete that at one point I actually said I praised Pete and said Latinum. That's that. I love the word Latinum, and he looked at me like I was a complete and utter moron, and just said, "I'm serious." He didn't smile; he just looked at me and said, "Platinum," without the P. Oh shit! It was like it's like, but it sounds so great as Latin. Wow.
Better than Ilver.
If that's the best idea you've ever heard, my friend. You haven't heard good ideas in your life.
I like Kat's response there. She said it was better than Ilver.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. See that's that he was a genius.
It's better than old.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. But yeah,
people too modest.
Titanium.
Titanium.
Yeah.
I wish I had all those at the tip of my tongue. But he was so dismissive of me that
he was like, really, it's not that great of an idea. It's just platinum without the P.
Yeah, I was like, are you kidding me? That impresses you?
But it does sound good. It sounds like something that's always been in Star Trek lore, but it really wasn't.
Yeah.
Especially when you add the gold pressed in front of it, gold pressed platinum. It makes it sound. It sounds so much more official.
My ears are tingling.
Heather, what were you going to say?
I am not sure if they established any of the Ferengi, like, or what's the word, culture before DS9. I don't think they did, right? It was
a little
in DS9.
No.
Who came up with like the Grand Nagus?
That was me.
That was you?
Yes, the Grand Nagus rules of acquisition. That's my cross to bear. And I remember, actually, there's a lot I don't remember, but as I've told people before, I remember sitting at my desk in the Hart Building at Paramount with a thesaurus, looking up words like powerful and leader, and there was it was from India. There's a Negus, I think, Negus, and I saw that. I thought, Negus, that's different. And then I thought, Nagus, or maybe it was Nagus, I don't remember. But anyway, I saw that word and I said, Nagus, Nagus, Nagus. That is so, not what you would expect. What can you do to kind of push it over the top that is important? And then it was Grand Nagus, and suddenly, okay, that sounds like someone important, and yet also somewhat silly. So
yeah.
And the rules of acquisition, huh? That's where we have the name of this podcast, the seventh rule. Do you know what the seventh rule is, Ira?
I don't have the book with me, but
we didn't realize that one of the final episodes of the first season, they actually say it, and none of us realized that. Odo and Quark were having a conversation.
Yes.
And Odo says, "Always remember the seventh rule, harumph," or whatever, And Quark says, "Keep your ears open."
Yeah.
And that was Aaron that came up with that.
Yeah.
Someone said, oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, I was going to just say, because, your question was about the culture, right? But I know we got the Umox from that. We got the Umox in Ethan Phillips when he was a Ferengi on TNG in the episode where they kidnapped Lwaxana. Because one of the Ferengi falls in love with Lwaxana Troy, and then they
everyone.
and they abduct her, and then he explains Umox from TNG. But I think that's about it. I mean, in terms of, I think you really did obviously develop them much more in DS9. But I do remember the Umox being introduced in that TNG episode. That was the only thing I could think of.
Good knowledge.
Particularly the female Ferengis, that definitely came up.
Oh yeah.
Or should I say their lack of culture.
Well, no, the lack of clothing was from the original TNG episode.
Oh, was it?
He was stuck with that. It was a line that Quark says, and you let your females go out.
Oh, that's right.
Clothing,
that's right.
Which we hated, to be honest. It didn't make a lot of sense, and it just seemed so. I really would have liked to have been there in season 2, I guess. I think it was in season 2 of TNG. I was there for season 3 when they already had been created. But whoever in that writer's room said, yeah, and they'll have the women go without clothing, and that sounds like
they're all subservient and submissive and
subservient, and it's all like, really? And there's no spin on that. It's just that's just flat out like that. There's no it's
just one dimensional. That's it.
Someone should have said, nah, not really.
I don't think they ever intended to elaborate on that, and then all of a sudden the Ferengi were all about DS9. So
they're trying to make them the next villains. That's why they just made them these bad guys that just want to acquire everything and have all their women naked and hiss and use a rope weapon that we hardly ever saw again. So they definitely.
But no one could take them seriously.
Yeah, but they definitely grew on Deep Space Nine.
Mm.
So that's about all the time we have for the free for all. But I think my favorite line.
I dislocated my shoulder. Okay.
We got an injury timeout.
But very special thanks to Ira Stephen Behr for joining us, and
thank you.
Thanks, Ira.
Thank you all.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And for Cat Art King, Heather Jordan, Imo Radke, our brand new associate producer, Sirach Lofton, For the late, great Aron Eisenberg, I'm Ryan T. Husk, and always remember the seventh rule.